I'm Tavis, Smiley, and I'm delighted to have you tuned into our program today. We are playing some Michael Jackson because today is Michael's 65th birthday. Were he still with us, he'd be turning 65 today. Kind of hard to imagine Michael Jackson at 65, but Michael would be 65 were he here today, and it's hard to argue with the brilliance of his musical corpus, his catalog, and so many hits, so little time. But happy birthday to one Michael Jackson. In this hour, two conversations on the B side of this hour. This summer, we've been battling major fires everywhere, it seems, domestically, of course, also internationally. I mentioned earlier all those Canada fires that made their way down this way and had the East Coast just dealing with a bunch of drama. So these fires are becoming much more common because of global warming, climate change, and there's an aggressive push to get more women of color into firefighting. Why the push? Why are they after black women and women of color? We'll talk about that on the B side of this hour. But now I am delighted to have a conversation, a chat, with former Los Angeles Lakers player, world champion Lamar Odom about his near-death experience, which led to the creation of the Odom Recovery Group, dedicated to substance abuse treatment and wellness programs. Lamar Odom, how are you today, sir?
What's up, broski? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing the best I can. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. You doing okay, man?
Yeah, I'm doing beautiful.
Good. Glad to have you on. Let me start with this. I was thinking about our conversation last night, Lamar, and I think it's fair to say that the world knows Lamar Odom as a two-time NBA world champion who rocketed to uncharted heights of fame thanks to being a member of that storied Lakers franchise, and also part of that ubiquitous Kardashian empire. Let me just ask you, I've never asked you this question before, who do you say, that's what we say, but who do you say Lamar Odom really is?
Oh, I'm just a humble man from Queens, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's where I start from.
Yeah.
Grandma started me in church, and I'm a man of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am. That's who I am first.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus' son.
Yeah. Nope, I received that. Tell me more, since you went there. Tell me more about your grandmother.
Oh, my grandmother was everything to me. My grandmother raised me after my mother had passed away from colon cancer when I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, my grandmother was, she was born in 1923,
Mm-hmm.
and I was born in 1979. So, you do the math. So, I guess that's 53 or 52 years.
Yeah.
So my mother happened to be 52 years older than me. So there was a lot of wisdom that I received from her. My grandmother was a nurse. She went back to get her college education at the age of 50 years old.
Wow.
So education was always important to her.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about, going back to school, as I did in that one reality show I did. Went back to school at TSU,
Right.
Texas Southern.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back to school and study psychology and business.
Yeah. As long as it ain't night school with Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish, will be okay. You don't go back to school in that situation. Let me just ask though. And if I'm pressing too hard, tell me and I'll back up. But I'm glad your grandmother was there, and you ain't the only black man to be raised by his grandmother. My grandmother lived with us. We called her Big Mama, so I know what that's in part like.
Yeah.
But what's it like for a young black boy, a 12-year-old boy, to lose his mother?
Yeah, shit. Excuse my language, but it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was confusing, and without the guidance of her and my family, who knows what I would have been in that damn basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The basketball was my focus. After that, even though I kind of always knew since 10 years old that I would, have my name called by David Stern and even win the NBA championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did having basketball as an outlet do for you in those early stages of your life?
Well, just sports in general
Mm-hmm.
gave me I guess like a guideline.
Yeah.
Towards life. Play fair, play hard, win the game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how it is in life.
Yeah.
You play fair, you play hard, you treat people with respect. Say sorry if you did something wrong, pardon me, is the word where it was used in my part so often. And be fair to people, keep God first, and things will work out right.
Yeah. No, that's why I love sports. Sports in so many ways is a metaphor for life. And when you talk to people who've played sports, they understand that. They get that. There's so many lessons that come from being an athlete that are applicable to everyday life, and I'm not surprised to hear you say that. Lamar put a memoir out called Darkness to Light back in 2019. It was an instant New York Times bestseller, once again called Darkness to Light. His memoir came out a few years ago and made the bestseller list right away. When we come forward in our conversation with him, we're going to talk today, in the minutes that we have left with him, about his near-death experience, which led to the creation of the Odom Recovery Group dedicated to substance abuse treatment and wellness programs. We'll get his take on how he made it through that dark night and what he's doing now on behalf of others. Lamar Odom is our guest right now on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since '92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Coming 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Deal it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience, temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 is inviting you to join us on Saturday, September 16th, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for our very first economic empowerment event for the community. This event is free and it's powered by Caltrans. We're doing this in association with Rambo House, and here's Rambo to tell you more.
Contracts. I'm going to say it again for all of us small business owners out there. Contracts. Rambo House, KBLA, Tavis, me. Oh my God, this is going to be massive. I truly thank Caltrans for giving us the opportunity to focus on contracts. Listen, that's what it's all about to be a small business in LA. That's how we hire our own. That's how we expand our community is contracts. KBLA1580.com is for you to have a seat at our contracts-focused event. Contract Ready does it again. We had over 900 last time. So you guys know how exciting this is. And if you just think that you want to get into contracts and you're close to it, bring your friends out for September 16th at the Marriott Hotel. Listen, you know where to register. KBLA1580.com. Come see me. I can't wait to see you. Let's do it, Tavis.
So be sure to go to KBLA1580.com for all the details. We'll see you Saturday, September 16th.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Will Jimeno. I'm a retired Port Authority police detective and a 9/11 survivor. For 13 hours, I was buried under the rubble of the World Trade Center. I was rescued thanks to brave people who were willing to put their own lives on the line to save mine. For 9/11 this year, a National Day of Service, I'll be paying it forward by taking time to help others. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Our guest is Lamar Odom on Tavis Smiley. I'm delighted to have him in conversation for these next 15 minutes or so. Lamar, I've had the honor, the pleasure of talking to a number of folk over the course of my career, of course, who've had near-death experiences. And to a person, every one of them who saw their life flash in front of them, I believe, ended up living better lives. When you come that close to death, it makes you wake up every day with a different appreciation for the gift of life. And so I suspect that what we're about to hear from you is no different than what I've heard from others. But tell me about this near-death experience and what for you came from it.
Oh, wow. But Odom recovery. Wow. Well, yeah, it was night. Went out to party one night after I was just signing divorce papers. Well, my wife, and I was mad because I didn't have any cocaine to take to the brothel that I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I didn't have any cocaine to take to the brothel, and I go, kind of pick out the girls. Even put down $75,000 to kind of like keep it on the low.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And sit a drink down, and I wake up, 3 days later, and of course, it's everywhere that I've almost OD'd. And in this brothel, it was really confusing to me because when I woke up, Tavis, I couldn't walk or talk.
Mm-hmm.
So it took some time for me to get that together, to get that back, and I was hurt. Still am hurt.
Mm-hmm.
To this day about this situation. Like why would somebody, do that to me?
Yeah.
Like I told you, I didn't have any cocaine to take to the damn brothel that night. But the hurt is the reason why, I kind of started Odom recovery.
Yeah.
It's been more ODs in the last 5 years than deaths in World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined.
Mm.
So I just got to try to use my platform to bring awareness to it, and at the same time, help others that can't help themselves at this time.
Yeah. When you say you asked, not at all rhetorically, you posed that question: why would somebody do that to me? What in fact was done to you?
I mean, obviously, I was poisoned.
Yeah.
To try to make light of the situation, I always tell myself, I want to know what was it, because it was some good stuff to knock me down for 3 days and to put me in a coma and to have me, I suffered 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks.
Mm.
I'm kind of like a walking miracle.
Yeah.
All of my doctors say I walk a miracle, so I'm just going to try to just perform miracles on these people and try to heal them.
Yeah. 12 strokes, excuse me, I got choked up trying to say it. 12 strokes, 6 heart attacks. I repeat, 12 strokes, 6 heart attacks. Why do you think you're still here? Why do you think the Lord allowed you to survive that, Lamar Odom?
I guess it's got to be to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
No other reason. Maybe bring these young black men to the Lord in the same time, in the same breath.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if that's not finding purpose, then I don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. How have you how have you navigated? Again, if I'm getting too personal, slap me. Well, don't slap me. Just tell me, and I'll back up.
Yeah.
But how have you navigated the emotional pain that sort of puts you in that place in the first place?
The Lord.
Yeah.
It's the Lord. I definitely grew closer to God as we speak. My children, just doing everything to kind of research and bring some fundamental father-son relationship to our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
and just try to be there, be present. Since I'm not high anymore, I'm present every day. I know what's going on. I make better decisions. I'm here trying to make a difference.
When you survive something like this, Lamar, I wonder, speaking of your boys and your children, whether or not this makes you, how might I put this? Are you not an overprotective father? I mean, it's one thing you want to pass these lessons on to your kids, but are you overprotective now, given what you went through?
Well, my kids are 25 and 22.
Yeah.
And the most that I can do is hit them, let them know, where they're from, that addiction is genetic. The one time that you take a puff or take a snort, you might not be able to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And just hit them. Just be truthful as possible.
Yeah.
Be honest as possible. Be transparent.
Yeah. I want to ask you to tell me about the Odom Recovery Group. Again, as I said earlier, people who survive these near-death experiences wake up, as Lamar did days later, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. When he finally got himself together, he has committed himself to trying to help others, and that's not uncommon. When you survive something like this, if your mind is even halfway right, you want to spend the rest of your life trying to help other people avoid what you endured. It's true of those I've talked to folk who try to commit suicide. And thankfully they were unsuccessful in their effort, but they spend the rest of their lives trying to help others who are navigating similar experiences. And so Lamar is no different in that regard. So I want to ask you to tell me about the Odom Recovery Group, and I also want to talk about, we mentioned your grandmother earlier. You recently opened a long-term assisted living facility for seniors. It's called Odom Senior Care. So you helping everybody. You got the Odom Recovery Group. You got Odom Senior Care. Tell me about them one at a time, Lamar. Tell me about them one at a time.
Well, Odom Senior Care came about because my grandmother, who was my father's mother.
Mm-hmm.
So my first grandmother I was telling you about is my mother's mother.
Right.
But my father's grandmother, this woman's been through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband was killed by his girlfriend, and all her sons, died addicts.
Mm.
And which were three of them. Three of them died addicts.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been living in the same apartment building for 70 years.
Mm.
So it just came to me like, I was like, I wonder how many elderly people are in, a position, like my grandma, but not comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Because elderly people, we shouldn't throw away our elderly. They're everything.
Yeah.
So that's where I get our wisdom from. We get our swag from, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that came about. And then the Odom Recovery, like you said, you talked about it on why it's so dear to my heart. I almost lost my life, due to someone taking advantage of them knowing that I was a drug addict.
Yeah.
And, like 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks.
Yeah, man.
You can't find your purpose in that thing. I don't think you get it.
No, yeah, something's wrong with you if you can't find a purpose after that. Let me ask you, when you say that you are clean now, and you are, and you're doing great work, I want to phrase this the right way, do you wake up not with fear and maybe not even trepidation, but everybody who's been through what you've been through, I think always has in the back of their mind that they don't want to get caught at the wrong time in the wrong place and relapse, for lack of a better word. Do you have those concerns?
Not really.
Yeah.
I like to gamble, and I'm a risk taker.
Right.
You know what I mean? But what I do is I know how to minimize my risk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to hang around dudes that they want to party after the party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hang around people that don't get high.
Right.
I'm going to go to church. I'm going to talk to the Lord. I'm going to keep him close to me first and foremost.
Yeah.
Lean on my kids who are my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to keep this circle tight.
No. I think every time you were talking, I thought about Uncle Charlie Wilson. I think about Charlie all the time. I love Charlie. We've known each other for years. And I tease Charlie all the time because Charlie, after going through all that he went through, he gives his testimony and his story better than anybody. If you've ever seen Charlie Wilson in concert, you know what I'm talking about. He tells this story in every concert. You will never, ever see Charlie Wilson in concert where he would not take a praise break at some point. Aretha Franklin did the same thing, but for different reasons. Yeah. Charlie Wilson has a praise break in every single show because he's so grateful that God didn't take his life when he was out there on and addicted to drugs. But Charlie did something. Yeah. Charlie did something I tease you about to this day, Lamar. Charlie married his counselor. That's what Charlie did.
But you know what, though? You see a lot of that in this community,
right?
Like a lot of the rehab that I visit and talk to give my testimony,
right?
You see a lot of relationships start in rehab. A lot of the owners are, used to be drug addicts, and
right.
They of course they have girlfriends and wives and such sorts, and they keep a real close knit family. So I can see that happening a lot. I'm not surprised at all.
No. Every time, if you ever are fortunate enough to get to meet Charlie Wilson and know Charlie Wilson, particularly if you go backstage after a concert. I saw this years ago, and she's still there, and it never changes. You can't get Charlie Wilson alone in his dressing room. His wife does not. She don't let it happen. You can't do it. She watches him. She protects him like a hawk because she knows there are folk out there who would love nothing more than to get Charlie back into that space again. And so they have a protocol. They got a protocol. When you go backstage and see Charlie Wilson in his dressing room after a show, they got a protocol for how you get in or if you get in. But you got to be checked, double checked, and triple checked. They got to know who you are. She's got to know who you are. You got to be on the list. You just can't roll up in Charlie Wilson's dressing room. And he's been clean for a couple of decades now, I think. But she still knows that the dangers are there. And so I'm glad to know that you're keeping the right company. And not being tempted by those relapses,
It takes a village to raise a child, right?
There you go. I feel you. I got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes left, and we can't talk to Lamar Odom without talking a little basketball because everybody loves you for those championships. We literally just celebrated on this program, and for that matter, around the world, we celebrated what would have been Kobe's 45th birthday. Believe it or not. When you think of those years, you think of those championships, you think of Kobe Bryant. What do you think, Lamar Odom?
Oh, man, I think about greatness. I think about watching somebody put in the effort to reach greatness. And you just can't do nothing but idolize that. Mm-hmm. So that's why he's one of my idols and one of my idols forever. The Mamba mentality is something that I live by.
Yeah.
Forever, and hopefully to pass down to my kids and grandkids. And, it's just something that he stood by just to live your best life every day. So that's what kind of keeps me sober.
No, that Mamba mentality Kobe always spoke of. I'm glad to know that you're living by that. But let me just say though, and Laker fans in this city where I sit in Los Angeles and around the world will acknowledge the same. Kobe was a bad man, no question about it. But if there was no wingman named Lamar Odom, that might not have happened those 2 years, Lamar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got my 2 rings on right now. I'm about to take a knee.
There you go. I love it. I'm visualizing the 2 rings on your finger right now. So congrats once again on those world championships. That is that's something that folk can never, ever take away from you. And I'm so honored and delighted to know that you are busy helping other people with the Odom Recovery Group and, for that matter, the Odom Senior Care. Lamar, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on the show to talk to us. All the best to you, my friend.
Appreciate you more.
All right, stay strong, brother. Lamar Odom of the Los Angeles Lakers, again, with this Odom Recovery Group and Odom Senior Care. As he said, you have 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks. If you can't find your purpose in that, then heaven help you. When we come forward in the remaining half hour of today's program, all these fires everywhere that are being fought, there's a big push to get black women of color into the firefighting regiment. Why? What's that all about? We'll talk about it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden is focused on issues impacting Americans, even as House Republicans plot an impeachment inquiry for him. Speaking in a White House briefing, African-American Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre addressing the Jacksonville, Florida shooting over the weekend.
A white gunman went on a shooting rampage at a store near a historically black university and killed 3 black individuals.
The search for human remains in Lahaina is now 99% complete. The waters and coastline still need to be fully searched. Divers from the Maui Fire Department, Navy, and Coast Guard are still searching the waters off Lahaina, including dozens of sunken boats. The death toll remains at 115, exact 3 weeks after the fire, but hundreds are still considered missing. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Busy on the 405 South Drive with a wreck working in Sherman Oaks at Burbank Boulevard. That has moved out of lanes, but traffic is jammed up from Sherman Way and stays slowed down to Getty Center. A signal alert in Glendale, 134 West at the Glendale Freeway. The ramp to the 2 North is closed with an overturned vehicle. Traffic jamming up there from Colorado Boulevard.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? Call the accident guys to speak with a real expert attorney for a free consultation.
Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave single, spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty, and get another for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry, this BOGO deal won't last.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. LeBron's son Bronny is attending classes this week at USC. No word yet on when he'll be cleared to resume basketball activities. Bronny suffered a cardiac arrest on July 24th during a workout on the USC campus. Bronny was diagnosed with a congenital heart defect. The U.S. Open tennis tournament kicked off Monday in New York City. Coco Gauff defeated Laura Siegemund of Germany in 3 sets. Gauff will play Myra Andreeva of Russia in the second round Wednesday night. Michelle Obama was a surprise guest speaker last night when the U.S. Open celebrated 50 years of equal pay for men and women in professional tennis. Today is final cut day for the NFL's 32 teams. Each team must reach the 53-man roster limit by 1 p.m. today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for the Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job paid training, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus are now even putting their money in your pocket with a one-time $2,500 sign-on bonus. Let us connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in your community, then we invite you to join the team. Start your journey by submitting an application at culvercity.org/job. For more information, visit culvercitybus.com or call the live customer service operator at 310-253-6500. Again, 350-253-6500.
Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580. Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed. We thank Lamar Odom for dropping in to chat with us moments ago. And now, in this final half hour of today's program, this summer, we've been battling major fires everywhere, it seems. We've been battling major fires domestically, internationally, I say for the third time today. We all recall those Canada fires that worked their way down to the U.S. of A. and all of our friends on the East Coast. I had to travel back there a couple times while those embers were still hot, and all of the soot and the aftermath of those fires that were visited upon the East Coast and worked their way into the Midwest. So we know that these fires aren't just domestic these days, they're international. Look what's happening in Europe. So there are fires everywhere, and whether one wants to accept it or not, global warming is real, climate change is real, and these fires are real as well. And so there are more fires, and as a result, there is a big push to get more women of color, particularly black women and others, into firefighting. But why? And as a woman, why would I want to be a firefighter? This is not an easy job. Not that women can't do it, many do. But there's a big push to get more women into firefighting, women of color in particular. Please be joined now by Dana Howard of the California Conservation Corps. Dana, good to have you in studio. How are you today, sir?
It is good to be here. Thank you.
It's good to see you. Glad to have you here. Let me just start with, again, you're not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. But we just talked to Connie Rice, one of our regular contributors, who always talks about getting our frame right. So the frame that we are in is a fire frame. These fires are happening more and more. First of all, as one who cares about conservation, what say you about that to begin this conversation?
It's real.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's real. It's happening. It's not a figment of anyone's imagination. Mm-hmm. The fires are here. You have seen it in California. You most recently saw it in Maui, where most people would have thought a fire, a wildland fire that's going to tear across an entire community and city in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it rain there all the time? Mm-hmm. It's real.
Mm-hmm. I fret sometimes that even though it is real, to your powerful point, and we see it, that many of us still, one, don't take it seriously, and number two, don't connect it to the issues I raised earlier of global warming and climate change. We just don't want to wrestle with that, it seems to me, that reality.
On many fronts. Mm-hmm. And what especially gives me pause, both as an African American and being in a leadership role within the California Conservation Corps, mm-hmm. where wildland firefighting is a priority. Fighting the wildland firefight, mm-hmm. the wildland fires is a priority, and getting the workforce created and established mm-hmm. to make that happen. I watch and I don't see what I would consider the strong response, especially from African Americans around this. And it's not because of apathy. Mm-hmm. I think often it is how I don't know what I can do. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we were trying to really emphasize, is that there is plenty you can do. And not only is there plenty you can do, there's plenty that's going to affect you and your community. Right behind where we are sitting right now in your studio is a massive hill called Baldwin Hills, Hahn State Park, which is under control of the city, of course, but the California Conservation Corps is in there right now trying to get and remove the brush that is there, because it is a large amount. We're not talking about a tiny little section. We're talking about acres and acres. And then when you're sitting up there and you're seeing the wildfire fuel that is there and present, and naturally so, because it's grown. We had great rains, a lot of growth of vegetation, hot air following, dries it all out. We're not talking about that it's up in the mountains where it affects no one. We're talking about it is right here in Los Angeles, that threat, that risk. And it's a risk to African-American community, where a huge amount of African-Americans live in Los Angeles County and Los Angeles City. So, yes, it affects our communities as well.
Yeah. You mentioned apathy earlier. Apathy and invitation are two very different things. There may be apathy on the one hand, but to be invited to be a part of conservation is another thing. And you see where I'm going with this. So across the country, across the nation, talk to me about black folk and conservation. How do black people fit into the conservation conversation, the conservation model, the conservation work? How do black folk and conservation fit together?
Hand in glove. Isn't that where we're from? Is the land? And so what has happened generationally is that somehow African Americans in this country have been removed from the table. And whether it is not seeing where we fit, or whether it was intentional exclusion, it doesn't matter. It's got to change now. Because as long as we are not present at that table, our voice is missing around the decisions that are made in protecting our communities. And whether or not there is a specific and explicit invitation to come join this, we've got to make that invitation. We've got to be able to say, no, here's my invitation. The very fact I am here, that I am interested in this, is my invitation to this table. And we cannot just say, that's not where we belong.
If black folk were more involved, if they were at the table in these conservation conversations, if they were at the table in these environmental writ large conversations, what would we be offering? What would we be saying? How would our presence at the table change the dynamic?
It can change how policy is formed. What decisions are made that says this is where the dollars are going to be spent. It is no accident that dollars may not be committed and prioritized for areas where there are both poor and as well African American or Latino or those who are not in, who have that seat around the table. It is not because of just necessarily just institutionalized, we're just not going to help them. That voice that I'm talking about is not present to say, hey, wait a minute, what about this over here? What about this community? What about these people? How do we make sure that they are receiving just as much priority when it comes to coverage, when it comes to prevention, when it comes to rehabilitation? How do we make sure that happens?
When we come forward, speaking of how we make sure that happens, there's a major push. There's a program that, in fact, has been designed to try to recruit more women of color, black women and others, into firefighting, into conservation work. We'll talk about that with Dana Howard when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Are you looking for a tax preparation firm that understands the unique financial challenges of African American business owners? Then look no more. Wealth Management Financial Advisors can prepare and file your individual and business taxes. They're committed to providing their clients with the best possible service. See how they make the greatest impact on your taxes. Find them at wealthmanagementlb.com or call them at 562-427-8877. That's 562-427-8877.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
There's a huge push in the state of California where this radio station, this radio show is flagshipped. Huge push in this state and across the country to get more women of color, black women in particular, into firefighting. Our guest is Dana Howard. We want to talk about that now. I have two questions to start this part of our dialogue. One, why the push for black women? Why the push for women of color? And if I were a black woman, why would I want to do this? Let me just color this and I'll get out of your way. Number one, it's hard. Being a firefighter is hard, number one. Number two, when you get in there, you're really not altogether welcome. This is a firefighting in this country has long been seen as a racist bastion. It's familial. These white guys get their sons in, they get their nephews in, they get their cousins in. And so it's not a space where you're even really wanted. And then thirdly, you survive all that, you're actually fighting fires, putting your life on the line. So why the push for black women? And if I were a black woman, why would I want to do that anyway?
I'm going to take you back just a few years, a few decades, and I'll share just a personal story. That same question was asked of me of why, Dana, do you want to get into news? Why you want to be a news reporter or anchor? Don't you know that that is all mainly white males doing that? And I can describe to you all the challenges that I had, all the names, all the N-words that I heard coming from my coworkers just about me. But you hang in there, and eventually you in itself create that change that's necessary for others to be able to come right along. Now it is far more frequent to be able to see a black male sitting in an anchor chair. When I was coming up, it it was an anomaly.
Yeah, it's rare, yeah.
So why would we sit back and say, gee, I'm a black woman, and they don't have a whole lot of black women doing wildland firefighting or firefighting, period, and it's hard work, and it's going to be all male predominantly all white male, so therefore I don't belong. Let me go do something differently. Mm-hmm. No, you deserve a seat at that table just as much as anyone else does. Mm-hmm. And so you get in there and you do the work and you make it happen, not just for you, but for the community overall.
Yep. So tell me more about this push to get more black women into the firefighting force.
We are trying to focus really on California right now. Hopefully it will spread across the country.
Scale up, yeah.
But one, this is a good paying, stable career. And everybody, you're not going to get rich being a wildland firefighter. You're not going to get rich being a firefighter in an urban environment. Mm-hmm. But these are stable, good careers that women should be involved with. In fact, when it comes to wildland firefighting, women often do better at this than the men do. I know the men, they get the mm-hmm. hype, and you see all the Chicago fire and the,
mm-hmm. all the TV shows. Yeah,
yeah, right?
Yeah.
So imagine this, and you can think about it for yourself. You look like you're probably about my size, somewhere around 220 pounds. And I'm going to be courteous there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But even when you are at your leanest, mm-hmm. and say it was that 220 pounds, charging up a hill mm-hmm. for a mile, you would get up to the top of that hill and look around and be out of breath and say, somebody got some sandwiches or something here, because that was rough. Mm-hmm. Women, just because of their stature, meaning that they are most likely not going to weigh 200 pounds. They're going to be down more at the 130, 140. And getting up that hill, that's a whole lot less weight to get up there. Mm-hmm. And so often when women get to the top of the hill, they're like, okay, let's get to work. Mm-hmm. Because they are not as winded. And on top of that, what we are seeing at least, is the amount of commitment that women have who get into this mm-hmm. is strong. It is immense mm-hmm. because they have thought it through. This is what I'm going to be doing. I know that this is stable. I know that I'm going to have an income that is more than a living wage. That's something that will be a difference to both me and most likely to my family and the community that surrounds me.
Calling all black women into the firefighting regiment. You're listening to Dana Howard on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamar Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
So when you're trying to recruit African American women into this firefighting force, beyond the fact that there's good pay, what's the pitch? What's the pitch to get them to take this opportunity seriously?
One,
Yeah.
the pay,
Yeah.
because it can be just changing. But two is that you're able to make this impact that's long-lasting in the community, especially here in California. If they come into the California Conservation Corps, per se, this is an opportunity for them to get paid training, meaning that they are training to become a wildland firefighter, and they're earning income at the same time. They're not getting rich. It's not something that you're making thousands upon. It's a monthly stipend that you receive, but it is enough for you to live on, and as well, you get housing and food at the same time. And then once that's done, it takes about a year and a half. You are then having the qualifications needed to get into what's called a firefighter 1. And those are those entry-level firefighting positions that exist all across the country. And that is where women who have done this tell me that they see the difference that they make when they are out there on the fire lines, digging fire breaks, putting out and protecting structures from wildland fire, and the immense gratitude that is sent their way from those individuals who up until then really thought that wildland fires, that was something that just took place up in the mountains someplace, and no, it's there in their community. And their homes have been saved, their schools have been saved, their way of life has been saved. The gratitude that comes from that is immense. And then when you see the impact, I've heard the stories from the firefighters themselves and saying when they saw the flames, because it's no joke, when you see the flames coming at you, there is a fear that comes up and wells up inside of you, because you realize, oh, this is real.
Life and death, yeah.
And then to see the difference that you've been able to make, it's just something that you can carry with you.
The older I get, the more my sense is that there's not a better pitch than that. And that is that if you can engage a work and a witness that is life-saving, that's all there is, man. That's the ultimate. I think the people that work with me in the work that we're doing here feel that they're doing work that makes a difference. When you're part of a platform that's amplifying the voices of our people and giving them a chance to be heard, to express themselves, that's a beautiful thing. So you come in and you go home knowing that you did something that day to help the race, to help our people. And again, as a firefighter, you're literally saving lives, you're saving homes, and those people are indebted. They are forever grateful that you had the courage to fight and to face that fire, to save their property, to save their belongings, to save their life. So it's again, I can't imagine a better pitch than the good that you get a chance to do and the gratitude that comes. His name is Dana Howard. He's Director of Communications for the California Conservation Corps. There's a huge effort here in California and across the country to get more women of color, certainly African-American women, into firefighting. And as you heard Dana say earlier, they are hopeful that what happens here in California will spread across the country. I say all the time, what happens in this state either casts a long shadow or a long sunbeam across the nation. So I suspect that all across the nation, you're going to see greater efforts as these fires continue to happen to get more people of color, women of color particularly, into the firefighting force. Dana Howard, I'm out of time, but thanks for coming to see us and thanks for spreading the word. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith. Happy birthday, Michael Joseph Jackson. Would have been 65 today.